now, my baby Coco Penelope, she is nursing, and so
Okay,
that's just a different experience.
got you.
Obviously for your wife or your significant other, but for me, I want to get up and I'm so used to my previous experience, switching off shifts. I feed her,
Yeah,
let her
yeah, yeah, yeah.
sleep, but now it's just all her. So I wake up like, hey, what can I do? You know
Right,
what I mean?
right,
What do you
right.
want me to do? And then I end up
Yeah,
falling asleep.
let me be some type of help. But I mean, what like you said, what can you really do in that situation, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Maybe change a
And
diaper or two.
I do that. I do that. She's
Right,
like, I got to use the bathroom. Can you change the diaper? I'm like, "Yeah,
right.
cool."
Got you, got you.
So,
Yeah, this is the least of that. This is the least that I could do for you, right?
exactly, exactly. Let me
Right.
rub your back or something, man. Why
Something.
something.
Right.
Yeah, you
So,
got to figure it out.
hey man, so a question that I always like to ask prior to getting into the
Make
reason
sure
why we
you like
came
this
here
video
today.
and
What
subscribe.
is something that Barron is watching on television?
Oh man. And I've seen your previous shows where you kick it off that way. I'm actually watching a couple different things. I finished Inventing Anna on Netflix. Don't know if you've seen that, man.
Nah, nah.
Yeah, very interesting show. Kind of you've heard of the Tinder swindler, right?
Yep, yep.
So similar to that,
Okay.
where it's about a young lady who I guess you'd say she sort of used some con techniques to but she's got this like big business venture that she want to go on in New York. And she's able to get money, get funding from so many different people, and she like takes lavish trips and all this stuff. She's got this whole facade about her. You know what I mean? She just lives a
Mm,
really fake life, but everybody took a liking to her. Like, I mean, other public figures, all the who's who of the world, and so she was trying to get like a huge funding to purchase this, massive building in New York to do her, lifelong dream deal, and through the process, kind of, they kind of found out who she was, and you know what I
ah,
mean. So that was pretty cool. But I mean, I just, what I just started, and I don't watch a whole lot. I mean, I'm knee deep in just kind of, sports.
right.
But my wife, tend to kind of watch some shows, so I'll get sucked in here and there. And I know I started watching All American when
Yep.
it first kicked off, and then I kind of lost my way a little bit, and then as of late started watching that a little bit. So
The good thing
that,
is with that, man, you know, is so many series in right now that you can binge watch,
yeah, yeah,
and that's my
Stranger
thing.
Things. I mean, like, we've been watching that. So yeah, there's a few. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's more so my thing. Like I like binge watching because I hate going week to week and waiting for
Yeah,
shit. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like I'm
yeah,
more of a binge watcher, but
yeah,
all
yeah.
right, good man. Let me go ahead and intro this real quick. New viewers, welcome. My returning viewers, thank you a lot, and welcome back to Baseline to Goal Line. I am your host, Alan Cole BZ Colburn, and in the building with me today, this is cool for me because I had aspirations of doing exactly what this young gentleman did um, when I went to college. But in the building with me right now, Barron Thelmon, founder of Supreme Sportz Entertainment, is in the building with me right now. What's up, bro? How you doing?
Doing well, man. Everything is all good, man. I appreciate you having me on, and it's been a long time in waiting. So I'm excited about being a part of the show, man. Great things
Patience,
to do.
patience is a virtue, man. Everything happens for a reason, man. I
Yeah,
appreciate you coming on, man, because you know,
yeah,
as I previously just stated, um, this is dope for me because that was like one of my dreams. Was I shouldn't say dreams, but that was one thing that I wanted to do was to get into like the sports agency world, which we'll touch on here in a
Yep.
minute. But before we get into everything, let me just go ahead and say that this video is sponsored by Hylux Vitamin Water. Let me go ahead and share the screen with you real quick so I can big up my people.
Yes, sir.
Hylux is a regimented vitamin water, I should say. I'm sorry, that is packed with 4 different type of electrolytes, B complex vitamins. It has more potassium than a banana, and it's actually really good, man. What I'm drinking on right now is I have the red dragon fruit. My favorites, they actually fluctuate from week to week. It just depends on what my taste buds are like at the time. There's 4 different flavors. We got strawberry watermelon, raspberry pomegranate, red dragon fruit, and strawberry kiwi. And if you go to the website on drinkhylux.com, if you enter the code HYDRATE, you can get 10% off of 2 or more sample packs. The sample packs come with 2 flavors of each. There's 8 waters in the sample pack, and it comes with 2 flavors of each. Also, you can find this on Amazon, and you can find this on Walmart.com as well. So shout out to Kelly Winfrey and the people over at Hylux. Barron, I'm definitely going to put you in contact with these people so y'all can get some stuff popping too, bro.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that. I've heard a lot of great things about Hilux and obviously the origin of how they got things started. And so, man, kudos to Hilux, man. Maybe
Appreciate
someday
that,
we
man.
can collab together as well.
Yeah, appreciate that. Before we get into everything, let's do our toast. I normally do a toast.
Yeah,
And I have right here, this is Cabo I'm sorry, Reposado, and some Roses lime juice. What you got?
I got some Cabernet red wine, obviously made by Josh, which is man one of my favorite red wines to consume when I want to wind down at night. My wife and I, man, we just kind of pour a nice good glass of wine and enjoy the evening, maybe binging on one of our shows.
Right, right. All right. So what I always toast to is to life, health, wealth, and last but not least, sports talk. Salute.
Absolutely, blessings.
And now we can get the show popping, man. What did you think about real quick? What did you think about the NBA draft and the order in which the players fell in the NBA draft?
I mean, I think like a lot of drafts, the top of the draft, you kind of know where guys are gonna go a little bit, but there were some surprises in there. Obviously there's some guys that slipped, but again, man, I tell people all the time. I mean, no matter how much how much information we receive from analysts and some personnel, sometimes, man, it really it's a game time decision. I mean, obviously you have your top 1 through 5 really that are just kind of no brainers a little bit. Maybe some
Right,
shuffling in that top
right.
top order, but um, I mean, it really comes down. I mean, those I've heard a lot about those war rooms,
Mhm.
and it really gets intense, when it comes down to drafting. And so there's a lot that goes into it for sure.
The reason why I asked is because you mentioned something kind of vital there a second ago, and you mentioned about the shuffling between like the 1 through 5 and everything. Because I think there was a consensus as to who the top 3 were, not, or top 4 were, not necessarily in any order, but you
Yeah,
had Blankero, you had Jay Ivey, you had Holmgren, and then you also had Jabari Smith.
yeah,
Now, I was kind of shocked because of everything I was reading leading up to the draft. I was kind of shocked that Blankero went first. Although during the last couple of days they were stating that there's a good possibility of him going first. But from what I was reading and from what I was listening to, like up until like the last maybe day or two, the consensus was Jabari Smith,
yeah, yeah,
and then maybe Blankero. I'm sorry, then maybe Holmgren at 2 and Blankero at 3.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then it did a complete flip.
yeah.
Um, What are your thoughts about how you feel Holmgren is going to fare in the NBA?
You know what? I think personally, man, I've seen, obviously I've watched him, seen him once in person, and I've watched him on film quite a bit. I mean, you know what? He has he has all the things that translate. I mean, obviously, what sticks stands out to you right away is his length and how rangy he is. But I think what is maybe, I mean, I don't know if it's underestimated a little bit, but I think the kid plays hard.
Yeah.
I think he plays. I think he plays hard. I think he's one of those guys that give you second efforts. Obviously, the thing that sticks out in terms of what's gonna, have to get better or be a developmental process for him is physically.
Yeah.
But man, with his length, his skill set, his ability to change shots, his ability to initiate offense. I think he's gonna be okay. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, the NBA is changing I mean, it has changed. It's
Right.
already here. It's already upon us.
Right.
And there's quite a bit of kids that can do those things at 7 feet, 7'2", and on. And so, again, what's gonna separate him is just how hard he plays. I think. I mean, you have to, you got to have some dog in you too. I mean, because there's
Not
some
for
bullies.
sure.
Yeah, there's some bullies in the league now, and when you coming in. And you got a little bit of moxie, and that's what I like about him too, because he does have some moxie to
Got some
him.
swag. He got some swag
Yeah,
to him.
got
Yeah.
swag to him. He's confident. He's a confident young man, which you love about him. But there's something to come with it. Now there's some guys that's gonna try you.
No,
I mean,
I think it's gonna be a situation where, with that moxie and that swag that he has, he's gonna put a target on his back too, and people gonna be
yeah,
wanting to kill him because of it.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you see what the kid Lofton, how the kid Lofton went at him in summer league.
He's
And
impressive.
oh man, he's like a Zebo 2.0.
Yep. Yep.
You know what I
Yep.
mean? I mean, like kids like that. Uh, I mean, you love to have a young guy like that on your squad. To me, in my opinion, I'm going back to the coaching part of it,
Right.
because
Right. Right.
those guys are really hard to defend.
Mm-hmm.
Offensively, but I mean, just those tough nose, like, hey, look, I'm gonna put this hard hat on. I'm gonna hit you in the chest. You know what I mean? I'm gonna go through your chin.
Right.
He's got long arms and he's skilled. I thought he was a great pickup in the draft for sure, and
Yeah.
he's just gonna get better. I mean, being in the spot he's into, where he's gonna have a Zach around, and he's gonna be able to kind of get some of those nuggets, as you can say, from veteran guys like that. I mean, I think he's gonna flourish, man.
Who would you say? And I agree with you 100%. Especially with Lofton, the what you just spoke about Lofton, and then
Sure.
also with Chet. Worst case scenario for Chet, he's going to be a great rim protector,
Mhm.
and that's worst case scenario. You get what I'm saying? Like if we get anything because in my estimation, anything on the offensive end, 15 and 10, that in that range is going to be a
Yeah.
benefit. Because
Yeah.
what I think he was drafted upon or drafted on was more so of his defensive instincts.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
get what I'm saying? So anything that they give you that he's going to give you on the offensive end,
Yeah.
I think is going to be a bonus. And I think he is going to be able to give you something on the offensive end because he can shoot
No
it,
question.
he
Yeah.
can stretch the floor, he can take it off
Yeah.
the rim and initiate offense. I think he's going to be okay.
Yeah. He can score 3 levels. And that, if you watch him, I mean, he's a kid. Obviously, like I said, with his range and his measurables, I mean, he's able to rebound outside of his area. He's able to get second effort plays, second effort chances, second chance shots, and things like that. And as you said, I think he'll be able to alter a bunch as well. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
going to be, when that game slows down, where he's going to be, it's going to turn to a one-on-one. Can you defend? Can you stay out of
Exactly.
foul trouble? Will be
True.
another one for him, as a
Yeah.
young player.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting because officiating is different,
Exactly.
from collegiate game than professional. So that'll be a big one.
What about who do you think right now out of the three that we talked about, and even throw Jaden Ivey in there, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So the top four that we talked about, who do you think right now is the most NBA ready?
Most NBA ready. Oh, I mean, I think out of those guys, I mean, um, Ventura, man, I love him. I love his physicality. I mean, his skill set. He is just. I mean, from a physical standpoint, I mean, he's ready to just be thrown in the mix. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I believe he could just, he can give you numbers, and more importantly, he can be effective on both ends. And the Smith kid is right behind him.
I'm glad that you mentioned that because another thing that I noticed about Blaine Carroll, and we got to take everything with a grain of salt when we're talking about summer league, because half the players that are in summer league, or even maybe 66% of the players that are in summer league,
Mhm.
they won't be on the NBA roster come
Yeah,
opening night,
yeah,
right? So we got to take it with a grain of salt. But with that being said, I didn't know how good of a playmaker he was. Number one, and then number two, I don't know how you feel about this comparison, but when I see him on the court, he reminds me of a Melo slash Michael Beasley.
Mm. I definitely could see the bees, for sure. I mean, he's got, I think he's kind of got that same, the same ability. You know what I mean?
Right.
Um,
I say
yeah, I
Melo
mean,
because of the footwork.
yeah, yeah,
I was watching his footwork and I'm just like I was impressed with his footwork.
yeah. It's not as, Mello was such a smooth. I mean, it's not as smooth as a
Right.
Mello. Mello is, I
Right.
mean, sweet feet, man. You know what I mean? Just a
Mm-hmm.
smooth score.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, size wise, he fit the bill. I think he's got a good post up game. I think he could be a good post up player as well. He's got a good in between, but I think, as you alluded to early on, I think one of the underrated things for him is his playmaking ability. I mean, his
Right.
passing ability too. You know what I
Right.
mean? And again, he played played under a great coach, and so he's going to be a basketball player, a complete basketball player. But I think that is something when you look at young guys, you and evaluate them, you want to say, okay, obviously, what are your strengths, weaknesses, etc. But if you're one of those top tier guys, are you a guy that can make your teammates or make your team better?
Right.
You know what I mean? Are you a guy that just need the ball, or you're a guy that can make your teammate better? You're a Jimmy Butler type guy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I think he is one of those guys. I think he has that type of game, um, both on both ends. I mean, he's going to make to me he's going to make some tough plays, as you see. In summer he made a tough block towards the end. I mean, he's going to make some tough plays on the defensive end, and I think he's going to make some really good plays. On the offensive end too. He's going to turn the ball over. That's part of being young and figuring it
Right.
out,
Right.
and just understanding how to read defenses,
Mm-hmm.
which and coverages and rotations and stuff like that. And the game will slow down to him, but I think he's at the top of that in my opinion,
No,
in
I agree
terms of
with you 100%.
right now.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I agree with you 100%. Um, so what I want to do is let's just start in the beginning, right? So, you're from the Chicago area, correct?
yeah, yeah. Born and raised, man, from the west side of Chicago.
Born and raised from the west side of Chicago. When did
Yeah.
you realize, or when did you get um, into basketball? Like, at what age did you really start
Yeah.
getting into basketball?
Man, I would say about second, third grade. In between there, I grew up. Man, I grew up around it. So I'm from the west side of Chicago, and I grew up in a neighborhood called K Town. They consider it K Town.
Right.
But in that neighborhood, there's a couple different things we had going on. I went to an elementary school, which was one of the well-known elementary schools in the city called Mason, Roswell B. Mason Elementary School. It's the same elementary school that Ronnie Fields went to,
Mhm.
and a host of other players. Alfonso McKinney, who's now playing in the NBA. But at Mason, and I live walking distance to the school. At Mason was the playground. We had Mason Playground, and so on Mason Playground, that's where they had the summer league games at. So
Mhm.
I grew up watching, Kenny Snake Norman, Sonny Parker, Jabari's dad, who played the Golden State Warriors. Tim Hardaway played in that tournament. So I grew up going to those games and watching all those. And obviously we had playground legends too, play and a host of other just, guys that went on to play college. I mean, there are a lot of guys, but they all played in that summer in that tournament, Mason tournament. And so I grew up watching it. My uncle, they called him Cornbread, man, and he was, he was well known in the neighborhood, and so I kind of picked it up from there. My dad played as well, but being around it, man, I grew up around it. I grew up playing on the playground. Yeah.
So and then you ultimately, and I'm kind of fast forwarding it through
Sure.
to like your college career because I want to get to the coaching and then to the
Yeah.
agency that we got going on. So you ended up playing. First of all, when at what point did you think in your mind like, damn, I could really do something with basketball, and the competition that I'm playing against, I'm a little bit better than the competition that I'm playing against?
I would say about seventh grade.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say about seventh grade, man. To be honest, again, I played with a Chicago great, Ronnie Fields, who played at Farragut High School alongside of Kevin Garnett and Mike Wright, who played in the NBA for a little bit. They had a great squad over there, but he was a year ahead of me, and so I sort of came up behind him. But it was a time where, and I was in seventh grade playing, with the A team, right? And so
Right.
it was during those time, man, where like I was competing against the best kids in the city, all around, and I just from people saying it and then me figuring out, man, my handles. I was known for being a great ball handler, so I handles could nobody really stop me. I had a lot of stuff. I had a lot of stuff in my bag.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
You ain't gotta
yeah.
be humble, man. This is to give people their flowers. Let's brag a
Yeah,
little
yeah,
bit.
yeah.
Let's
You know,
brag.
I had some stuff with that ball, man. I grew up, idolizing Isaiah Thomas, and so watched a lot of him and was able to really become I had that basketball in my hand 24/7. I would walk blocks between the legs like we used to do when we were young.
Right, right.
Can't mess up. If you mess up, you start
You can
over.
start
See,
over. Yep.
and in Chicago, man, you got broken concrete everywhere. So you know what I mean. And you playing on in the concrete where it's not all smooth pavement.
Right.
So I was able to really develop my ball handling skills in a great way. And then again, like I said, eventually I start. People couldn't stop me getting to the rack, and
Hmm.
that just kind of led me. Obviously, I was one of the top eighth graders coming out, and was recruited to go to high school and went to attended Curie High School on the South Side. Would have played for a guy named Mike Oliver, he was a player himself. He was a great player and played in all the programs. A lot of what I know come from him because he was a young guy, like 25, 26 years old, and taking over a high school team. But he also ran all the private summer league runs at a place
Mm.
called LeClaire Courts where Pete Myers and Scottie Pippen and you know what I mean. So I was right there. Antoine
Right.
Walker when he was coming up, and
Yep.
so I seen a lot of the greats. You know what I mean, with my own eyes up close and personal. I was keeping the clock and shooting with them after their runs and things like that. So I was able to grasp a lot of great things and just kind of see it and mimic certain guys and stuff like
Exactly.
that.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, for
yeah.
sure.
So when I got to high school, man, I was a freshman, played varsity, and was dependent on quite a bit, and then everything just kind of took off from there.
Did you or I shouldn't say did you, but what high school accolades did you receive?
I was all area, all city, out of Curie High School. Um, I had a great career. I had some when I look back on it, and I didn't realize it then. To a couple different things, man. I had some really hard lessons during that process, man. My freshman year, and I talk about this openly to a lot of kids because I've learned some good lessons through the journey, um, which is why I ended up going to junior college. But my freshman year, I didn't take care of business in the classroom.
Mm.
It's one of the most humbling experiences I've ever had to go through, man. I was
Hmm.
ruled ineligible the second half of the year, my
Mm.
freshman year, and I was again. highly touted freshman out of Mason Elementary, playing varsity, and I had to sit and watch,
Wow.
uh,
Okay.
which was which was very humbling, and taught me a lot. And then my sophomore year, obviously, I started to kind of, catch my wave a little bit, blowing up and getting recognized by everybody in the city, and I was talked into transfer into a powerhouse in
Mm.
Chicago, King High School, Martin Luther King High School, where they had Rashad Griffith,
Yep.
big kid that played, big fellow, 7 foot guy, played at
Dreams. If you never saw Hoop Dreams, go look at Hoop Dreams. He was in the movie. He wasn't one of the main characters, but when Arthur Agee and them went upstate, that's who they played against upstate. And speaking of which, I met him
Okay.
um, about a month ago at one of Jason Terry's
Okay.
camps. He was there at Jason Terry's camp. Cool dude, real
Yeah,
cool
man,
dude.
great guy. But King High School was a powerhouse. I mean, they had the leather jackets, they had the varsity jackets, they had the two 7-footers at one time, Thomas Helmington and Rashad Griffin. But before that, they had Marcus Liberty. They went
Mm.
on and did great things. Jamie Brandon, and so I mean, they was just known for being a powerhouse, and had a great coach and Coach Landon Cox over there. But he convinced me to transfer, man, and talked me and took care of me a little bit. And so I transferred there for a little while. Actually, I went last semester of my freshman year. I went to summer school, went to Illinois team camp, did a bunch of special things there, and then I realized like it wasn't a place for me. I was just
Really?
like I
Okay.
felt a lot of what I was feeling was some disloyal this to who brought me into Curie, although he wasn't coaching me right away. The guy that brought me to Curie, Mike Oliver, was coaching JV. I didn't play
Mm.
JV right away. I played varsity, so I wasn't really playing with him. But then he took over as a varsity coach, and so when he took over, I wanted. And he was a father figure to me, and
Right.
so I ended up going back
Got
to
you.
Curie High School, and that
Got you.
cost me half a year of eligibility as well. So I had to
Hmm.
sit out because of transferring for basketball reasons.
Yeah.
Then,
Yeah.
hey, listen, one thing I'll say, I am no this recruiting business. This is second nature because I was in it, as
Right.
a player,
Right.
getting coerced to transferring and different things like that. And so I've learned a lot, which has carried me through my career, man. But that was my experience in high school, and essentially, I lost a year because I sat out a year, academic, and then,
And
for
then
a
a
transfer.
transfer. Right.
Yeah, yeah, and it kind of cost me. Looking back at it, it did. But again, I tell people all the time I wouldn't change it for nothing in the world because it just, man, it taught me a whole hell of a lot. I learned a lot through those processes, and cultivating relationships, and
Sure.
learning how important it is to take care of business in the classroom. All those things came in. So I appreciate them.
So let me. You mentioned that you ended up going to junior college.
Yep.
Was it because of the grade situation, or was it because you weren't getting recruited by the people who you wanted to be, or who you thought you should
No,
have been getting recruited?
I was getting recruited by Big Ten schools.
Hmm.
I was getting some really good looks for sure. And No, it was academic. I didn't have the GPA to qualify. And back then, I mean, I graduated high school in '97,
Okay.
and so back then, I mean, I was just playing. I didn't know a whole lot about recruiting, and especially junior colleges and stuff like that. And there's a guy, a basketball guy in the city of Chicago who's not with us anymore, but his name is Ronald Chop Billinger, and they call him Big Chops. And he's
Okay.
a guy that was heavy in the Chicago basketball, helped tons and thousands of kids out, hundreds of kids out, get in school. He would pull guys off the streets. Man, you can play, man. Let me call a coach and get you an opportunity. And was such a pillar in Chicago in our basketball world. But he knew the coaches at Indian Hills, which was the
Mm.
number one junior college in the country.
And
Um,
it damn near still is.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. For
um,
sure.
so he knew those guys, and he called the assistant coach, who was a monster in the recruiting game then, a guy named Mike Capaccio, who I played for and very close with. He's now the athletic director at University of Citadel. But called Mike and said, "Hey, I got your point guard here in Chicago. You need to come get him." And coach flew in. Indian Hills had a private plane. And not too many junior colleges roll like this now.
Yep, I've heard these stories. I got a real close friend that played for Indian Hills.
Yeah. So they flew my coach and myself, Mike Oliver and myself, out on the private plane, and it was just a different experience, man. I mean, we went to the games. The support was crazy. The games were crazy. They were coming off a championship year prior to me getting there, and then I went on my visit. I said, it's like D1. You know what I mean? Like it was like a Division I. And so that's what led me. So I ended up going to Indian Hills, winning 2 national championships, lost 1 game in 2 years, junior college athletics.
Talk, man, talk.
Yeah. We had a special group, man. I played with some guys that played in the NBA. One of my very close friends, Terry Black and Pete Michael. Terry's a Hall of Famer with Baylor University. Pete Michael went to Cincinnati, played in the league.
Terry's from Milwaukee, yeah.
That's right, man. So we had a crew, man, and lost 1 game in 2 years. I'm telling you what, man. I tell people all the time, it was, not too many Division I schools operate and just kind of have that it factor like Club Hills, what we call it. So
Club Hills.
Yeah. Great experience.
So after Indian Hills, you decided to go to DePaul, correct?
Yep, I'm gonna get this charge. No. So after Indian Hills, you see what I'm wearing, man?
Yeah. Okay.
UNC Wilmington. That's
where
DePaul? Well, that's where I coached at.
Okay, we'll get there. Yeah. That's what it was. Okay, we'll get there. Okay.
Yeah. So I after Indian Hills, I then finished my career off at UNC Wilmington. Played for a guy, Jerry Wainwright, and Brad Barnell, who's now at Clemson.
Yep.
Rodney Terry, who's at Texas now. Mike Winecki at the time. Great staff. And my first year there, we go to the NCAA tournament. So I helped lead those guys to the NCAA tournament. First time in school history. Played, obviously, was point guard and captain of the team there. And one of my teammates, we had a very special group. One of my teammates who was there with me from Fayetteville, North Carolina, he's actually the athletic director at UCLA, Martin Jarmer. He's the first African-American athletic director. He's now at UCLA heading that athletic program. But special group there, man. We competed against the George Masons, the Jim Larinagas of the world back then. Richmond, and we had some great battles back then. And then my senior year, I had a chance to go 4 for 4 in terms of winning rings. I won 2 national championships in junior college, and then a ring my first year at Wilmington. And then we get to the conference championship game in the Colonial CAA championship against George Mason. And we lose by 2 points in a very ugly game, 33-35.
Oh, wow.
It was terrible, man. It was awful.
Was it good defense or just terrible shooting?
Probably a combination of both. Certainly not enough playmaking going on.
Right.
But I will say this, though. Coach Wainwright, and I don't know if many people are familiar with him. Coach has been in the business for a very long time. He was at Wake Forest prior to UNC Wilmington, had a lot to do with the signing of Tim Duncan. He signed Rodney Rogers back when they had those great teams out there. And he was a 5-star legend. I don't know if you guys remember the 5-star camp back in the day, but Coach had a lot to do with that thing rolling. But he was a defensive-minded coach. It was all about defense. He's almost like a football guy. He had a football mentality. It was always, bone on bone. You hit first. That grit Gritty. Yeah. There you go, coach.
Right there. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. That's my guy there, man. Coach is he's beloved by all of his players, man. In fact, I just got a call the other day that we were, trying to get together for him up in North Carolina, but um just a real great guy. I mean, great, not only a great coach, but he's just a great human being. And he had a lot to do with my development as a young man, as a man, and as a coach. But yeah, he was a hard nosed guy, man. I mean, there was no days off. I mean, he woke me up to what it was to work hard as an athlete. I mean, you thought you were working until you went and played for coach. You know what I mean? If he had you running from baseline to free throw line, he had you running it so hard. Well, you know what I mean? Like, and if you didn't, he would make you feel like you letting down your family and everybody else. You know what I mean? It's just that type of guy.
He unlocked a different gear in you. Unlocked a different
gear. Yeah.
Yep.
He challenged you in a lot of great ways. Challenged you as a leader, and he was very instrumental. But he was a defensive guy, and Jim Larinaga, he was a defensive guy back then as well. And so it was. We had some battles, but that was an ugly game, man. I can't stand thinking about that. So we lost in that game, and then funny story, lost in that game. So we thought it was over. We get back home, we get back to campus. Everybody's feeling sorry for themselves. And so he said, you guys can go home. If some who can go home, go home. So my best friend was starting the backcourt with me, Brett Blizzard. He was from Tallahassee. So me and him and a few others say, you know what, let's go to Panama City. Spring break, because we were on spring break. Let's go to Panama City. We go to Panama City, and we get a call that we made to the NIT. We played Dayton first round. So we had to stop in the middle of what we were doing, haul
get back,
back. And so it's crazy. And so we ended up playing the NIT my senior year. But so I was able to experience 4 years of postseason basketball, which
that's dope. That's dope.
Yeah, which is I tell I always say that is special to me, because not everybody get a chance to experience that. So
no, for sure. Did you play at all, or did you have aspirations after your senior year to play professional basketball at all?
I did. I played. I had an opportunity to play with the Huntsville flight team, with the D League back then. I had a little stint with them, and then I played in the league in Ontario, in Canada.
Okay.
Yep,
okay.
And then I played in a minor league called XBA in the States, which it was sort of like the CBA, but played for a little bit. My last stop in Canada just wasn't a great experience for me. And when I graduated, so I was so close to graduating that I graduated in December, because I was a junior college guy. I had a class to take. And so I graduated December versus May. And so it was important that I graduated. And so I didn't go and pursue playing right away. I coached. That's when I got my first coaching experience. I coached at Cape Fear Community College, and I was finishing up with my degree at the same time. And I coached alongside of Scott Rainwright, which was Coach's son.
Yep.
At junior college. And that kind of got my taste buds going for coaching. I coached that year, had a good experience, loved teaching, but then I still wanted to play. So after that, coach and everybody wanted me. I had an opportunity to take a job at College of Charleston at the time, which at 22 years old, it would have been a great opportunity. But I wanted to play.
Really?
Yeah, I wanted to continue.
In what capacity was it for? Do you remember, Barron?
It was going to be, I think, an ops guy.
Gotcha.
Yep. It was going to be an ops guy at College of Charleston. There was an ops position opened up, and we had some connections there. And Scott Rainwright, who I was coaching with at Cape Fear, had went on to coach with his dad at Richmond. His coach left UNC Wilmington and went to Richmond for a few years. And so it left me with the opportunity to get into Division I. And at that time, I just wasn't ready. I still had that youth in me that I wanted to kind of out. And as a young player, you grow up thinking all I want to do is take care of my family. All I want to do is, for me, I'm from the, I'm from the west side of Chicago.
Yeah,
So
we from the
only thing,
slums. We just gonna say what it
yeah,
is. You from the
yeah,
slums, bro.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm from the
yeah,
mud, man. I mean, obviously, I grew up. I was fortunate. My mom was awesome. She was a single parent. We had
right.
things we needed, and we didn't know, but yeah. So you grow up thinking like, man, I want to take care of my family, man. That's what I'm
Nah,
in
for
this
sure,
for. And
for
I got
sure.
the ability to do it. I mean,
Right.
so, but coach,
Especially that not too many people get that chance to say I played professional basketball.
yeah, yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying?
Especially
Like,
when
yeah, so yeah, not even necessarily that I got the ability to, but I got the ability because of my basketball prowess. Not too many people walking the face of the earth can say I played professional basketball, regardless
no
of
doubt.
what level it's on.
Yeah, I got
You know
paid
what
to
I'm
do
saying?
this. Yeah,
Exactly, exactly.
I got paid to do this. Yeah, I was, and that was my mentality. Plus, again, I knew I had I knew I had the talent. I knew I could go and get a check anywhere. You know what I mean?
Right.
What you didn't know back
I
then.
love the humble bragness. I love it, bro. Talk.
Hey, nah, man. I mean, yeah, I'm one of those guys now.
Yeah, I like the
uh,
humble bragness. Yeah.
yeah, one of the things that I'm fortunate that coach and those guys. You have people that you surround yourself with, mentors, coaches, even friends that may see things in you that you don't necessarily see at the time.
True.
And I'll never forget being in the locker room after I lost my last college game, and coach going around everybody, and talking about all the seniors, and he gets to me, and he's talking about me being a great coach someday, and I'm like, coach, well, I'm trying I'm trying to go
Right.
get this bag. You know what I
Right.
mean? I'm
Right.
trying to go play
Right.
for the
Right.
next 15 years.
No, I guess you're
Um,
right for sure. For sure.
yeah, yeah, but again, I've always been a natural leader. I played the point position my whole life, and um, I didn't know how much I would enjoy teaching the
Mm.
game when I got into it, and I think that's what really got me going. I mean, I really enjoy teaching the game. I'm a very detailed guy,
Yeah.
and I'm an old school thinker. And so, I don't like, I think, everything you do in life, not just in basketball, it could be in business, it could be in being an entrepreneur. There's a process to it. There's a building process to doing it, and I think that's the same with athletes and in sports. I mean, there's a process to developing good habits. You know what I'm saying?
For sure. Definitely.
You know,
Definitely.
so there's a process to you have to start fundamentally to deal then advance your skills and things like that. So I enjoy that part of it, man.
How long did you coach for?
Man, I coached I think 10 years, man. I coached for a good decade, and
Okay.
I was able to I was able to coach what was so good about my experience. And I miss being in the locker room, but I was able to coach on every level, which was a great experience. Now I started off at a junior college, and then I coached then I went and served as a graduate assistant at my alma mater, UNC Wilmington, which is a mid-major school.
Yep.
And then I went from UNC Wilmington uh, to DePaul University, which
Yep.
was in the Big East, and that's when the Big East was the Big East.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you're playing against 2 to 3, maybe 4 pros every night. You got Jimmy
Yeah.
Butler and them, who you didn't even know was going to be Jimmy Butler at Marquette,
Right.
and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And so that was a great experience. And then I went on to coach at Eastern Illinois University.
Okay.
Well, now it's what they would maybe consider as a low major.
Right.
But
Right.
you're dealing with different challenges. You're dealing with a different budget, and I was assistant coach there, so you had to be creative in the way you attracted players and when to go get, when to, recruited players. I worked for a great guy, Mike Miller, there, who, when he left Eastern Illinois, he joined the San Antonio Spurs and then became the interim head coach of the New York Knicks. and just a smart guy. Was a basketball guy, so I learned a lot with him. I was on staff with a guy like Mike Lewis, who just got the job at Ball State, was at UCLA prior to,
Okay.
and a guy named Chad Altadonna. One of my other guys that I coach with, Jeff Alexander, who's now the assistant at Illinois, doing great things there. And so, great experience, but again, different challenges. All those, those coaching deals with, DePaul, where I went in on the back end of a contract. I worked for Coach Rainwright. That's who hired me. My coach, who I played for, brought me back home. But he was on the back end of his contract. And so as a young guy, I was able to just learn the business from that standpoint. Like, okay, how winning equates to, longevity and tenure and, things like that.
What year were you at DePaul?
I was there from my first year was 2008. So I was out there.
I think we spoke about this before because I was asking if you were there with Draylon Burns and Sammy Mejia and all of those.
Yeah, Sammy. I came right after them.
Oh, got you. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I came after them. So the guys I coached was a guy named Matt Coswell, who had some experience with the NBA. He actually left after his junior year. I coached another kid, Dart Tucker, who declared after his sophomore year, missed the basketball in the state of Michigan from Saginaw. He was just a human highlight. He was a heck of a player. Just at that time, really couldn't put it all together to, be a complete player. But obviously he's doing really, really well, still playing overseas, making really good money. But
definitely.
There's a little funny story about him. I was he was sort of my responsibility as a young guy when I was brought to DePaul. So I had to really sort of, kind of, mentor him through a lot of different things. I had to make sure he was on time. I had to make sure he was taking care of business in the classroom. Just things like that we as assistant coaches oftentimes have to do, and staffers, I should say. But one of the things that happened with him was, again, he was my guy there, and when I took over, going into my second year, we had, our staff had changed over. We brought in David Booth, Tracy Webster, who was a great player at Wisconsin, coach at Kentucky. I mean, list goes on. A great guy, one of my best friends and good friends in the business, who's now a scout with the Mavs. But we had Billy Garrett, another great coach. But David Booth, who was a good friend of mine as well, still is, he was hired, his first job, he was hired by Jerry West in the NBA for the Memphis Grizzlies. And so he had worked in the NBA before coming to DePaul, and one of his close friends was Dale Demps, who was the GM, all those times with New Orleans, was with San Antonio. And so Dale calls me. I'm a young guy on staff, just really getting my feet wet in the coaching. And Dale's with the San Antonio Spurs at the time. And Dale calls me on the phone and asks me about Dar. They're obviously doing a background check. He's into the draft. They're asking questions. I tell people all the time, they are going to beat the bushes on every guy. So Dale calls me and asks me, about my experience with him. About his character, about his habits, about his, work ethic, things like that. And I tell people all the time, Dar was my guy, and I really, really liked him a lot. Not to say anything bad or anything like that, but I had to be honest. And it was one of those situations where it was a life lesson for me, because again, you want, especially kids that look like us, right? Young African American kids that have these God-given abilities that can utilize them to propel them in life. So you never want to, you don't want to ever stop that, right? You know what I mean? Opportunities.
No, for sure.
And so, I'm put in a situation where, hey, I don't want to throw my guy under the bus, but I also, the professional side of me have to be, very transparent and honest with what's going on. especially if I'm in this side on this side of it as well. And so,
Yeah.
I had to be
I was going
honest.
to ask you that too. It's almost like you put him between a rock and a hard place because, like you said, you don't want to throw him under the bus, but at the
Yeah,
same point in time, you don't want your reputation to be tarnished either by misleading or misinforming somebody who's trying to get information out of you.
no doubt, no doubt, and
Yeah.
that's and a lot of times, again, people oftentimes think that coaching is just X and O's. There's so much
Ah,
other things that go
yeah, it
into
is.
it, and so
It
that
is.
was one of those early experiences and life lessons as a young guy that I was able to go through it, and I was like, hey, listen, I got a choice. And again, not that I said anything, bad or negative about Dar at all. Obviously, I had to be honest with what my experience was with him, and
Right.
what I saw um, was some of the things he needed to improve on. And
You know
so,
what? Things can be true, right? You can have a
yeah,
situation where this guy is a great person,
yeah,
but he or she, or I shouldn't even say, just not even say guy. These
yeah,
individuals, these athletes are great people,
sure,
but they still got shit that they need to work on.
yeah,
Yeah, two things
absolutely,
can be true. Yeah, definitely
yeah.
two things can be true for
Yep,
sure.
yep, yep, and that's kind of what it was. But again, that was a experience for me where I had to deal with NBA personnel. That was one of my first experiences where I
Mm.
had a guy like Dale Demps who's well respected, just a great individual first and foremost, but obviously very good at what he does. And so he called me up. He was good friends with David. David said, "Hey, look, you need to call Barron. Barron's with him, all the time, and is very familiar with him." And so that's again, that was a good experience. And it's a story about Dar that he was able to, obviously he was able to put together a great professional career. He's still in and he's doing great things. So I'm very proud of him for that.
Did you ever have um well, let me ask you this first. Did you ever assume a head coaching position?
No, I didn't, man. You know what?
And
My
let me piggyback off of that too. Did you ever have aspirations of becoming a head coach?
Yes, I will say that. I will say, I was sort of mentored, man, as a young guy. And again, I've been sort of leaders on all my teams. You know what I mean? So I've always had that, I think, ability to lead people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I was taught early in my coaching career to always think like a head coach. And
Mm.
uh, and
Okay.
so I would be in huddles, I would be in the locker room, I would be in meetings, and still to this day, um, thinking like, man, what would I do in this scenario? Or
Ah,
how would
okay.
I approach handling this young man? Or
Yeah.
how would I recruit this person? Or how would I deal with this family? And I'm a relationship guy. I'm a people's guy, man. I love interacting and engaging with humans. And so yeah, man, I've always had visuals of me, leading the program and being a head coach for sure, man, for sure.
So speaking speaking of which, and you saying that you were always taught to, I guess more or less, conduct yourself as a head coach and things like that,
Yeah,
right?
yep.
How often did coaches at any level that you were coaching at, how often did the head coach come to you guys in huddles or whatever for your advice, or even for you to drop a play like in certain situations and things like that?
Ooh, I mean, in my with the guys I play with, I wouldn't say that much to be honest with you.
Okay.
Um, my time in my time in well in high school, I mean, in high school, I will say this: my coach, Mike Oliver, he would look at me and say, "Okay, what do you want? Like, hey,
Right. Right.
what you feel." And
Right.
maybe it's an isolation play, maybe it's a double, you know what I
One
mean?
four flat. Everybody
Yeah,
move
yeah,
and get out the
right.
way.
Hey, listen, what I had a guy, well, you probably know a guy named Gennaro Pargo.
Oh yeah, for
Uh,
sure.
yeah. So Pargo was a sophomore in the same conference that I played in high school. He played at Robeson High School,
Okay.
and he told one of my high school buddy who was a police officer in Chicago. He's like, man, where's Barron at, man? Like, where's Barron at? Like, I ain't seen, obviously I'm been outside Chicago. He's like, man, I'll never forget. Like, they used to call this isolation play for him, and he would have our kids, he would have our student body going crazy and calling the same play. I mean, Pargo was like, man, I used to look up to him. Like, I loved watching him
That's
play.
dope. That's
So
dope.
that's that was a great compliment. But
For
that's
sure.
that's kind of how it was though. But my high school coach, like I said, he would look at me and say, hey man, do you want this, that, and third? In college, Coach Rainwright was an older guy, but we also had Brad Brownell, who's the head coach at Clemson, who's a very smart coach.
Okay.
He is, he was sort of, I like to say he was sort of the brains at the time in our program, and so he had a stranglehold on what we did,
Got you.
offensively and things like that. But again, we had we would have open dialogue and stuff like that in meetings and things like that. So it
Got
was,
you.
yeah, it was pretty good experience.
Got you. So ultimately, you know, we are, I won't necessarily say we're here because of it, but
Yeah,
Supreme Sportz Entertainment Group.
yeah.
And please, if I butcher that as far as the group portion of it, let me know. Um, but ultimately, I want to know what led you down this path as far as sports agency, the sports agency area goes,
Yeah.
and you know, with you being in coaching and with you being a basketball player, was this something that you envisioned, or did it just kind of happen organically?
Man, it definitely happened organically. I will say I've had some trigger points in my journey and some individuals that sort of I pulled from. But I've had a just a unique experience with basketball in general, from a player to a coach. Then I took a global opportunity and worked in Dubai, working for a global sports organization. This led me to the management side of things.
Okay.
I worked for a global sports organization in Dubai where I was hired as the international program director, and I had many hats. I did many things in Dubai, but my main job was to kickstart and put the infrastructure together to start basketball academies in other countries. And
Mm.
so I oversaw our academies in Sudan, Nigeria, Congo, and the Philippines were the four countries that I oversaw, help implement developmental programs there. We hired coaches on ground. We did a little bit of everything. In Dubai itself, I also did some things like create competition platforms within the local schools in Dubai. So they don't have, like we have here, like conferences, in our high schools where we compete in different conferences. They don't have that. Schools there in Dubai are owned individually, and
Mm-hmm.
so they don't really have that structure in place. They don't have an AAU structure in place, and so we were introducing all of that structure there in Dubai, and so that that experience sort of led me into sort of the management side of things. I actually, after I worked there for 2 years, and then I got with a former college coach who worked in the NBA personnel, was NBA personnel front office guy for about, I think, I would say about 10 years or so.
Okay.
And he had worked for the Dallas Mavericks, Denver Broncos, Denver Nuggets, and the Washington Wizards. Not the Broncos. That's
Not the
football.
Broncos, the
Yeah, yeah,
Nuggets.
yeah. He was a guy that I'd known for a long time through my college years, but he was also a guy that was connected with Sonny Vaccaro,
Mm.
and so he had
Woo.
been he had been in it for a long time, he got me hooked up with Adidas. I worked with Adidas for a little bit with the All-American camps for a couple summers. Um, and
Can I
so
just
that
say something
kind of
real quick? Let me just say something really quick because you mentioned
sure.
Sonny Vaccaro, and every time I hear Sonny name, and God rest his soul too, because he recently just passed away. But every time I hear Sonny Vaccaro, I think about the Jordan story. And when Sonny Vaccaro came to Adidas and told them that they needed to sign Michael Jordan, and they didn't see the vision, and if I'm not mistaken, it was the same situation where he told Adidas to get after LeBron too,
Oh yeah,
wasn't it?
LeBron. Yep, LeBron.
Yep, it
Yep,
was LeBron as well. And they said no, they passed on LeBron too.
yep. Yeah, that's kind of crazy to even fathom, right?
Right,
I mean,
right, right.
um,
You think about
I,
it, okay, I messed up once. This dude told me before
yep,
I messed up on the Golden Goose the first time. It's about to double back and come back around in the form of LeBron James, and you say
yeah.
no again?
And these really aren't hidden gems. I mean,
Right,
these are like in
right,
your face. Like, I mean, these are guys that have been born. You know what I mean? Obviously,
right,
Jordan had his go through, but I mean, he was still
right.
Michael Jordan when he was Michael Jordan. I mean, even at a
Yep,
young age.
for sure.
So, yeah, I'm excited to see the I'm excited to see his story on film. The Sonny Vaccaro story that they're making and coming out
Yeah,
with
they're
soon.
putting it together right now.
Yeah,
Yep, definitely, for sure.
I
I'm
I
sorry,
think
I didn't
it's
mean to
gonna.
sidetrack you, but go ahead and finish up with the point that you were making.
No, so I'm excited about that. But no, so I partnered with my guy who was in the NBA. I'll leave him nameless, but he was in the NBA for a long time. And he really sort of got me started in it. I partnered with him, and I was going to do my role with the company was going to be doing the player development, doing all the pre-draft stuff, getting guys ready for NBA workouts and all that good stuff. And things kind of fell through, and I kind of got left with the guys, and they were
Hmm.
calling me like, "Hey, what do I need to do? What can I do? This, that, and the third." And so I just that kind of stirred up my just kind of me wanting to venture into the business side of it, to the player management side of it. Plus, also again, with the accumulation of all those experience as a player, coach, and all that stuff, seeing where I think there's a need, right? You know what I mean? Like we in here purposefully, you know
Yep.
what I mean? We in here to really partner with guys and really serve and advise guys, in a very, natural and a holistic way. Like, there's information that not a lot of people are getting. There's advising and things that like that a lot of individuals are not getting. They're just getting jobs,
I'm glad you
So
mentioned that, man. And the reason why I'm so glad that you mentioned that is because you oftentimes hear these terrible ass horror stories about people who have made an abundance of money when it comes
yeah,
to whatever respective sport they're playing in, NBA, in the NFL, MLB, or whatever, and then they go broke. So with Supreme
yeah,
Sports, what are you guys doing as far as literature wise
yeah,
to get these people to understand the value of um,
yeah.
putting themselves in the right business acumen as far as investing and things like that?
Yeah, that's one of the main one of the I mean, just one of the primary focuses. Obviously, we stand on, teaching guys and partner with guys and teaching them how to own their talent in its entirety. But how do you do that? There's a number of things that you follow in order to do that, right? You know what I mean? Because the things have broadened so much. But the financial piece is a huge part of it, because listen, you can play 3 years, you can play 13 years, right? You can
Right.
play 3 years and make whatever you make, but in that process, what have you learned, or what can you do with that money that you gross, right, in those 3 years? And so we have a financial team. that obviously that's based out of Scottsdale, Arizona, that I'm very close. We work
Because
closely
let me
with.
just say this. Let me just real quick, Baron, and I'm sorry. I just need to. This
No,
is
go ahead.
on
Go ahead.
my heart, and I need to say this. There's no way in hell somebody who is, um, God for. I mean, we not even gonna put a number out there, but let's not
Yeah.
even for draft prospects. But let's just say somebody has a 2 or 3 year contract and they've made $3 to $5 million.
Yeah.
There's no way in hell that they should be going broke in a 2 year time frame.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
especially for us, for us black people. Growing up, we didn't have these tools.
Yeah.
And then you get these athletes that are coming into so much money damn near overnight.
Yeah.
And then now you got your leeches. You got your people
Yeah.
that cousins out of nowhere. You got friends that came out of nowhere. Now you got people that you want to bring out of the hood with you, which I get. It's cool to
Yeah.
put your people on. But we didn't have the financial literature
Yeah.
back growing up. Like we didn't know. They never taught us how to balance a checkbook. They
Yeah.
never taught us about investment opportunities and shit like that growing up in high
Yeah.
school.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, you didn't learn about a lot of those things. I mean, one of the things that we sort of pass along. Listen, when you have money, a lot of times you don't have to spend your own money.
At
When
all.
you learn that part of it, that's a huge.
Now you touching a whole bunch of stuff that I
Yeah,
now that's making me think because I've been around people with money and like we could be somewhere they don't spend a damn dime.
they don't. They don't. You get to a point again when you learn you learn how the spending power that you accumulate, but you learn how to work with different banks, and different things like that. You learn that you don't have to spend your money. I mean,
Right.
you have people that have checks they haven't even touched.
Mm-hmm.
And then also just the importance of your day to day approach. Like you don't need this, that, and everything else, right? You know what I mean? Uh,
Right.
with our guys, hey, listen, how do you sustain? We try to teach longevity in what we do, right?
Mm-hmm.
How can you create longevity, which in as an individual will create generational wealth, right? And so, you know, you have to understand that during your playing years, your job, right, is to maintain uh your ability to perform at a high level, at an optimal level, right? And so a
Right.
lot of things you don't have to spend, you don't have to, be lavish about. You don't have to spend money on this, that, and third, because again, you're really you're in it to sustain long term, and then once that over with, and again, you're gonna enjoy some of the fruits of your labor, and
Of
I'm here to
course.
say you should.
Of course.
But there's a lot of things that you just don't need, and
Right.
so we try to teach guys, or at least not teach guys. These are men, but you really just try to speak to them openly and advise them in ways that they can see the big picture of things. They understand taxes. When you sign for this, that's not what you're getting. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Obviously,
Exactly.
Uncle Sam is coming to get half of it. You know what I mean?
Man.
So you can't go, yeah, you can't go buy a $800,000 house or home because you got $1 million. You don't really have that.
Right.
And so again, there's a process to it, and it varies from you get a young guy versus getting a you know getting a free agent guy. You know what I mean? And so there's different challenges with different scenarios, but for us, again, it's a full service, and so what we try to do is we try to hit on everything. We
Okay.
have a financial literacy piece, financial management piece to how we service our guys. We got a nutritional piece that I've been a vegan for going on 6 years now, more now pescatarian.
Mm-hmm.
But that was a lifestyle change for me that taught me everything. You
Wait,
know, it
you
taught
were a vegan for
Make
how
sure you
long?
like this video and
now 6 years.
subscribe.
I've just gone to pescatarian over the last year.
Ooh, better than me.
Hey, I come from a cooking family now.
Listen, man. I look. Okay, I've always
One of the
said
most one of the most disciplined things that I've ever done in my entire life was
I
change my life.
bet.
Oh no, it
I
was
bet, man. Because look, I can definitely be a pescatarian because I love seafood.
sure.
So I can be a pescatarian. There's no way in hell mentally I think I could be a vegan because I love cheese, I love eggs, and that type of stuff. I'm not eating tree bark and plants all day, bro. I'm not doing it.
See, I'll tell you what. Now, for out of the 6 years, I would say, um, maybe a little bit over half of those, I was in it. I was hardcore. You know, no refined sugars, no dairy,
Whew.
no bread, no yeast. We just we lived really, very thoroughly in that sense. Um, but it was a huge difference, man. I mean, I saw everything transform for me mentally,
Mm.
physically, spiritually.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be very honest, man. It just really, and then obviously after you start educating yourself a little bit, and everybody doesn't have to. I mean, it's a lifestyle choice that we as individuals can or cannot make. But
For sure, for
for
sure.
me, after I started educating myself a little bit, um, and it just made more sense. I mean, you know what I mean. A lot of times we're just with the way the world is now, commercials and radio and media, it's
Yeah.
always embedded in us. And
I will say I think it may be a little bit easier to adapt that lifestyle now because you have so many more vegan restaurants and things that are out
sure,
there right now.
options,
You get what I'm
options.
saying? Like
Yeah,
there's different options and everything out there right now. But whew, man,
yeah.
like
And I was gonna say, what I was gonna say is, when it is hard to leave, like, the cheese and things like that. But what I did learn to do, if I wanted that fix, if I wanted that texture, if I wanted something that I just was used to eating, I
mhm,
would I would go the alternative route. I would get the vegan cheese.
got you.
And again, it's not, I'm a seasoned person, so I like different. I like flavor, so
Right.
I would make it taste good, but again, man, just plant based. I think our bodies are our vessel, man. You are what you eat in
That's
so
true.
many ways.
That's true.
And
How do you feel? How do you feel now since you transitioned to being a pescatarian?
I mean, and I started back eating bread too, man. So that's my face looking all. I was a little, man. My face got a little,
No
but
chunky.
yeah. Now I'm back to my DePaul days or something. But
Yeah, yeah,
um, but no, man. I feel great. I mean, I lived in Wilmington, North Carolina, which is right off the beach. And so I live a good portion of my life close to the ocean. So I love seafood, man, and I
yeah. Me
and
too.
it's and I feel good. I eat a lot of fish right now.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. I'm a salmon guy and grouper.
salmon, mahi,
Yep,
grouper,
yep, yep,
tuna.
yep.
I went to my in-laws the other day, and we had some catfish, but
Mhm.
yeah, man.
Yeah, I got you. I got you.
Yeah,
Um, I want to ask, like, okay, because I hear this a lot, and of course it's in media outlets. I don't have the inside track of this, but I hear this a lot in media outlets and from different things or from different people when it comes to media. What type of adversity? Because I hear it when it comes to Rich Paul, his age, in the Clutch Agency group and things like that, like the resistance of a young black man who has um, kind of changed the game when
yeah,
it comes to agencies, um, and the resistance that he's getting from the people who are more seasoned in the
yeah.
game. What type of politics and things have you faced when it comes to that?
Honestly, I won't say I've faced enough. I mean, enough, a lot yet. I mean, I'm fairly new in it,
Right.
so I mean, you expect the unexpected, but I'll say this, man. Kudos to LeBron and Rich and those guys. What they have done was really spearhead changing the landscape of you know the agency world. I mean, it again, there's a lot of different nuances that help along with that. You have the social media stuff that plays a part in it, the enhancement of technology, all that. But those guys stepping to the forefront and saying, "Hey," breaking down the doors and saying, "Hey, we can do this just as good because you know why we have leverage.
Yeah.
We are the talent. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? We are
Yeah.
the talent,
Yeah.
and we own our talent. That's right. You know what I mean? Here's how we're
Yes.
gonna own our talent. What I will say is, to their credit, obviously, having a guy like LeBron as your guy, you got the
It's
ultimate
easier.
leverage.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got you got
That's your stamp.
you got the ultimate trump card. You can go in anywhere in the world and say, "Hey, I got LB with me. You know what I mean? This is what I want to do," right? And they're gonna
Right.
listen. They're
Right.
gonna sit at the table with you,
Right.
and that's a big thing. I tell my guys now, every guy that I work with and talk to, I'm like, "Hey, listen, man, the talent is the leverage." Like, I
Hmm.
mean, you really, the only way you get guys to listen to you and get these corporate brands, and you know what I mean, you get these people, these shoe companies to deal with you, is you got to have the leverage. You got to
Right.
bring the guys. If I
Mhm.
bring the guys, hey, we're gonna be able to sit at the table. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so that's a big thing. But also, man, I will say to those guys, they know their stuff. I mean,
Hmm.
you gotta know the collective bargaining, the CBA stuff. You gotta know, how things are done logistically, so that when you are sitting at the table, people can't talk over your head. You know what I
Right.
mean? And in a lot of cases, you know, I've learned this, throughout my experiences. People will try to do that. You know what I
No,
mean?
for sure.
And and so experience is the best teacher, but you also got to put in the work to learn your craft. And and everybody's not going to know everything. I'm not going to sit up. I wouldn't, I'd be remiss to say I know completely everything about the business, because I don't. I
Right.
have enough uh, experience and knowledge, and I've studied enough to know, how to get things done. And I'm resourceful enough to where if I don't know, then I can pick up a call. I pick up the phone. I can, research. I can do whatever needs to be done to make sure we get the right answers. Make sure we put our guys in the best position to be successful. And so when you have that, when you can have that mentality, you got that type of confidence about what you're doing, about the craft that you're involved with. I don't think there's no stopping, and
Yeah.
for those guys, again, being young guys in it, there's agents that's been in it, there's the Andy Millers of the world, there's guys that's been in it for a long time and have been running things for a long time. So when you get these young guys coming in there, saying, "Hey, this is how we're gonna do it." Uh, you know, we got the pieces.
Yeah. You
Uh,
get a little
but
bit of resistance, huh?
yeah, for sure, for sure. I
Yeah.
mean, you see, yeah, they've implemented some rules. Now you got
Right.
to have, a degree. You got to have certain
Degrees.
degrees.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know what I mean. So, and there's always gonna be that, man. You have to expect. You can't go into it wet behind the ears like it's gonna be all peaches and cream. It's a
That's true.
it's a fucking business. It's
Yeah.
just it's a dirty game.
Yeah.
And
Cutthroat.
yeah, it's very cutthroat, man. I mean, basketball. I mean, all sports too, but college coaching is cutthroat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and this business, I never forget. Just going back to coaching, man. One of my former coaches, Mike Passio, who I told you was at Indian Hills with me now at Citadel, he told
Hmm.
me, "Man, you sure you want to be in this business?" When I was coaching, it's a excuse me, it's a fucked up business. You know
No,
what I
go
mean?
ahead.
Like,
You good.
you know, he said it's a fucked up business, man. I mean, you
Yeah.
know, recruiting wise, it's dirty. You know
Right.
what I mean? And so, you know, just that, you know, that's something that always stick to me. But you know, and the same applies to the agency world. I mean, you know, there's a lot of, and then now you tackle on out, now you tackle on the NIL stuff and being able to, boom,
Yeah.
now now it's
You just open up an
back
entirely
back
different
in the
flood.
day, guys.
Yeah.
Back in the day, there was a lot of under the table things happening, right? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
You hear those stories. Now
Yeah.
those stories is front row and center.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I just did an NIL deal for a high school kid for 6 figures.
Yeah.
Six
That's
figures.
crazy.
And this
Yeah.
kid, you know, 16 years old.
You know, and it's funny that you mentioned that because that's a perfect segue because I was going to get there too. How did you feel? How do you feel about the NIL deals? But before I touch on that, um, your agency, is it more? Do you guys have different sections for like different sports, or are you focused on one particular sport?
Right
How does
now,
it work?
right now, we only have basketball players right now.
Got you.
Excuse me. However, um, in 2023, we will be opening the football division. So we'll be working with some football guys. We got some guys that's in the fold right now that we feel really good about. And so well, I'm excited about that. There's a lot of great, talented guys. I'm now living in the state of Texas, and
Okay.
so
Yeah, that's
there's
huge. It's
oh
huge.
man, it's unbelievable here. But I've got some close relationship with some guys right now that would nurture and hopefully, you know, all works out. But yeah, we're looking forward to venturing into the football division.
What do you mind giving us um a uh, s- a brief synopsis? You don't have to go too much into detail about some of the athletes that you currently have on your roster right now that you can speak of.
Well, I'll just tell you we got guys playing over our guys right now. I don't have any at the moment. I don't have any NBA guys.
Okay.
But we got some guys that's playing over in Europe. And then, like I said, we got some guys that we got some guys that will be playing in the NBA that we are affiliated with and
Okay.
that we work closely with right now through NIL stuff, and that we feel pretty good about it. Um, and then, like I said, we got some guys that we think will have some NFL shots. So
Okay. I want to show something real quick, and I want you to. But I still want to speak to you about how you feel about the NIL deals and stuff like that. Okay.
yeah.
As I'm showing this. This is a video that I found, and please speak and let me know what this is more so. But this is a video that I found the official release video that you partnered with Tesla.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So can you just elaborate on what we're kind of watching right now?
Yeah, man. So this was I officially launched in 2020. Obviously, right as the pandemic hit, like right before it really hit, and we had a launch social at Tesla dealership located in Chicago, man, right there in the heart of where everything happens at on Rush Street. During All Star, it's actually during All Star weekend.
Okay.
So it was man, it was a great event, man. We had some investors there. We had just family there. We had some supporters out
Of
there.
course, the Beyond Meat, of course.
Yeah. We had some vegan options for you, but more importantly, man, our sponsors. Tesla was one of our sponsors, which they did a fantastic job in hosting. They provided transportation for all of our VIP select people. They transported them there, there in the back from their hotels, and they really did a great job, man. Actually, all the people that was a part of that did a phenomenal job. Help putting that together. We had some great people involved. Miss Maisha Wynn, who helped orchestrate things for us as well. So it was awesome, man. Obviously, one of the first, um, as you see, I'm a guy who's an agent out of New York. We had some people come and support, which was great, man.
Hmm.
It was a great deal. That was the birth of Supreme right there. And then we had some attorneys and the great Sonny Parker from Jabari Parker's dad right there that we
Yep.
see played
Yep.
for the Golden State Warriors. Um, so it was a great turnout, man. I was really happy. Obviously, the weather was, it was brutal up in Chicago, man, for All Star Weekend that year. I'm talking about, oh my god.
Yeah.
Um, but it was awesome, man. That was the birth of birth of Supreme right there, man. So we were really pleased about that.
Um, where's the headquarters based out of?
Out of North Carolina, but now we just transitioned to here to Texas.
Okay. Okay.
So we'll be based out of Texas now. Offices are here. And yeah, man, we're getting it rolling, man. From the
Okay.
mud up, baby.
Got you. Got you. That's big, man. I'm happy
Yeah,
for you, man. I'm really happy
yeah, I
for you.
appreciate it. And listen, I tell you, we are very excited. And Tesla will be on board for things in the future. Obviously, we've changed that. We've changed my logo a
Oh,
little bit, but
yeah. Yeah, for sure.
uh, we revamped it. But Tesla will be on board for a lot of our things. I'm out now working on some NIL stuff with a couple of our guys with them, and we are excited, man. I've you know I often tell people um, when you do things, when you take a leap of faith, right? And I'm a man of faith. I'm a man of God, and that's our revamp logo right there that we love, and we have different colorways for that. We got hoodies and hats and uh,
I need some merch.
yeah. I gotta get you some merch, man. Gotta get you some merch, man.
Okay. Okay.
It's all about the gear, you know that.
Now for sure. For sure. And I will proudly wear it when I'm doing interviews and everything. So I need some merch.
Okay, I appreciate
For
it,
sure.
man.
For sure.
Yeah, we
Go ahead.
excited, man. I tell people all the time, man. Just being God led first and foremost. We give Him all the glory because he's put me in this position, from birth, you know what I mean? And so, now that I'm in a position where I could help, and I always pray that I could be a blessing to others. You know what I mean? That is just something that's my purpose in life. And this is a platform that I can provide those blessings for, and I'm excited about it. We are excited. It's uh, it's our job to get it right. I'm not in a rush to. I don't want to hit home runs. We are very
Right.
selective in who we work with and partner with. We want to be with good people, good
Nothing
vibes.
wrong with base hits.
Yeah, man. Yeah, brother. So
Yeah.
I'm I'm an energy guy. We want to represent the right people. We want it to be a great fit. We want it to be a family atmosphere. And we got the resources here. We got a ton of experience that started with myself. And we got some great basketball minds and great business minds a part of the company. So we without a doubt um, um, already is, but we will be one of the top agencies in the world. So we excited about that, man.
Dope. Dope. Now, I briefly mentioned it, but let me just touch on this really quick before we get up out of here. How do you feel about the NIL deals, and how does one strike an NIL deal? Like, how do these high school kids and these people strike, and these collegiate kids strike NIL deals?
Oh man, let me just tell you this, Alan. It is off the charts. I mean,
I
can
bet.
you imagine, bro, when we was in? I mean, like when we were coming up and we were able to, you know what I'm saying, like get paid. Like I remember my friend playing with me, playing with UNC Wilmington on the video game, and like, man, you know what I'm saying? I played with you on the game, like, and we were able to get. We wouldn't have been eating Roman noodles back then. You know what I
Not,
mean?
not at all. Not at all.
Uh, no, man, I'm excited. It's a double edge. I mean, for us, um, it's changed the landscape a ton. You know what I mean? Being able to cultivate relationships early, early and often. But also for us, for me, and for Supreme, what we want to do is be able to again provide some, not only get these young people some opportunities, but here's an opportunity for us to provide some financial literacy and, and teach these young guys how to manage their opportunities and their finances at an early age. And so given the opportunity that some of these young people have and are able to get through their, whether they be, through their social media platforms, um, I'm for it. Obviously I'm an old school guy, but I think it's in due time that student athletes get compensated because there's been a lot of money accumulated for institutions, brands, etc. And so you know it's it's a different game now, man. I mean, it's free agency in college basketball. It's crazy. It's
No, for
crazy. And then
sure.
you add the portal stuff, and now
Yep.
you got but some of these kids are like kids averaging 8 points, saying, "Hey, man, I need an NIL deal for a couple hundred
Yeah.
thousand." I'm like, "Hey, bro,
Relax a little bit.
pump the brakes now." I mean,
Yeah.
like,
Relax.
you
Relax, my
average,
guy.
yeah, you average 8 points, man. I mean, you know what I mean? Hey, listen, I'm all for it if you deserve it,
Right.
but we're working with a few different student athletes. I mean, I got an athlete that's a junior college guy. I mean, he's gonna be really good. But he's got a following of like 200,000 on his social media platforms. Got 6 point something million like. I mean, like now analytically, all that equates to value.
Got you.
And so it's our jobs to, sort of help these guys navigate that and evaluate that and see how we can create some financial opportunity through that, because that's just the way of the world now. And so everybody has to adapt. It's opened the floodgates quite a bit though, for sure, man. I mean,
Imagine. I can
I just
imagine.
told you, 6-figure kid. I mean, sophomore high school getting six figures.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's crazy.
Uh,
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts. But again, what you have to do is you have to surround yourself with the right people. If you
Hmm.
don't, if you obviously, God, you don't have both parents in the home, or don't have a solid, home situation, you got to hopefully surround yourself with the right people that can help you navigate these opportunities. There's a ton of opportunity out there for young athletes, both men and women, and I'm all for it, for those guys and those girls to take advantage of it however they can. And if you need to, hey, listen, come to Supreme Sports. We got you. We got you.
Love it. Hey man, I
Yeah.
got some. I got a cousin right now. She's down in Texas, DeSoto High. She's going to
Okay.
DeSoto next year.
Oh,
Eighth grade, ranked
really?
third, ranked third in the country. She literally just got yes or today, matter of fact, she got she was the only eighth grader invited to the Adidas All American camp.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, she got game then.
She is great. Jason Terry speaks highly of her because she
Really?
played on his AAU team at
Ah,
one
I
point in
need to
time.
meet. I need to meet her then.
Six
She's
foot
right here
two,
in Texas.
6 foot
Really?
two, and can she plays the 1 through 3.
She's 6'2" already in eighth
We'll
grade.
talk. We'll talk. Yeah, we'll talk. We'll definitely talk.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll
We
talk.
need to collab on that one.
Yeah, yeah, we'll talk. Last
Hylux,
question
let's
I
go.
got, huh? Last question I got for you before we get out of here. What do you feel is going to happen with the Kyrie and KD situation?
Who knows, man? I mean, like, I know what I want to see personally. I love for
Okay,
those
let's
guys.
go there. Let's go there.
I mean, I love for those guys to stick it out. I mean, I love for those guys to, you. But here's the deal. I mean, these NBA guys and players, they're different breeds. I mean, there's so many different elements to what they're thinking.
Yep.
Individually, there's always egos involved. Um, so you really don't know what's really going on behind the scenes, unless you're really attached to it. But to me, I mean, from a fan perspective, I want to see them stick it out in Brooklyn and really, you know what I'm saying, have a shot at it. Um, there's not two more talented players in the NBA. I mean, to me, they are two of the more skilled, most talented players in the league. I mean, that we have and of all
Right.
time. The fact that
Right.
Kyrie's not on that all-time list is crazy to me. So that's
It's
another.
nuts.
That's another.
It's
You know what I
nuts.
mean?
It's nuts.
For
It's
another
nuts.
day.
Oh my
But
God.
he is. He's an unbelievable player. Um, you know, I'm not as hard as maybe the masses are on him. You know, in terms of his personal beliefs and behavior.
Yeah, that's
Um,
yeah.
yeah, but you know what? I mean, KD seems like one of those guys that, man, like the minute he's rubbed wrong and his feathers are ruffled a little bit, he's out.
Yep. Yep.
You know what I mean? He's like, you know, I don't care. Like I'm going to where I'm be comfortable. I'm not
Right.
gonna have to worry about the
I mean,
BS. I just
he
want
said it. He said it on a consistent basis. All he wants to do is hoop, and he doesn't want to have to deal with the other stuff. But you got to understand, my G, with who you are, all the other shit is gonna come with it. It's coming with it.
see, and see that's what's that is the difference. To me, the great ones. When you think about the great ones, they are great all around in its
Who are the great
entirety.
ones? Who are the great ones?
I mean, if you don't, if to me, if you're not starting with MJ, I don't know how you start.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So I mean, MJ, and I'm talking about like mentally, physically, dominant in a dominant way. I mean, you got the Kobe's, you got the MJ's. You know what I mean? You got those guys like that. Yeah, you got LeBron. I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, those guys dominate the game in its entirety. You know
Yep.
what I mean? Leadership wise, you know, how they get other guys to play. I think that's how you really measure greatness. You can be great at something. You can be great at one thing, right? But greatness spreads throughout others as well. You know what I mean? Like, you know, how can you get guys like, you know, be better? Magic Johnson got guys to be better. He played with some good guys, but shit, he got those guys
To play up
better,
to his
man.
level. Yep. To play
Yeah,
up to his
yeah. I
level.
mean, he
Yep.
pushed those guys. I mean, you know, obviously there's nobody above Michael Jeffrey Jordan in my book, you know, in
Okay.
terms of
All right.
just the overall. But you
Okay.
know,
All right.
so KD, why, you know, and I've always heard stories. You know, my mentor, one of my mentors and former coaches, Rodney Terry, he coached KD at Texas, and so
Okay.
I've heard stories. He was my assistant at Wilmington, but I've heard stories of him, you know, as a college player, and
Mm-hmm.
he's an unbelievable player, no question,
No,
man, no
for
question
sure.
about it.
For
Yeah,
sure.
but he's just one, and to each his own. He's just one of those guys that just want to hoop. I mean, he don't want to be
Yeah.
running nobody else's life. He don't want to
Right.
be telling nobody else what they do with their lives.
Right. Right.
He thinks, you know, he may thinks that, you know, he may have that thought process of like, hey, look, man, it's that guy life. I can't. He's his own individual. If it
Which is exactly
coincides,
what he said about Kyrie.
yeah. If it coincides, then that's awesome. Let's do it. But if he don't, man, he's a grown man, and that's just kind
Right.
of I see. That's how he feels, and then that's not nothing wrong with it at all.
KD ends up in Phoenix. Kyrie ends up with the Lakers,
That's what you say.
and
They
it's gonna
pushing
happen
hard for
before. It's gonna happen before training camp too.
it. There's
For sure, Kyrie gonna end up with the Lakers before training camp. That's gonna happen.
yeah, yeah. I mean that's I can see that. I can see that happening for sure. I mean they're really trying to make space for it for sure.
Right. Yeah, it's gonna
Um,
happen.
It'll be interesting though, man. You know, interesting to
Yeah.
see. I listen. I'm you know, again, I'm an old school man. I like to see
No,
battles. I
I
want to
know it.
see
I know it.
everybody play against
Yeah.
everybody. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
For sure.
You know, so but
Uh,
you know, it's all good. Listen, it's a new day. So
yeah.
it
Yeah.
and it's a players league.
Right. Right.
It's a players
Right.
league. You know, they understand the business side of things. They understand their leverage, um, and so you got guys really just sort of owning their own destiny and what they want to do, and a lot of these guys too just want to truly. I mean, we're talking about a society now that I think have tapped into um, the power of energy and peace and want just peace of mind. You know
Yep.
what I mean? Like today's
Yep.
time, these young people, they're pushing for peace. Like you know
Nah,
what
for
I
sure.
mean? Like people just want a peace of mind. They want to be
Right.
happy. You know what I
Right.
mean? And it's no longer we're at a point where we just gotta accept what's going on.
No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't.
So, that's why these guys are, hey, listen, they're saying, hey, man, I don't care what most fans want or what you want. It's
I'm gonna do
about
what makes me happy.
what's making me and my family happy. And in our roles as agents is to make sure these guys, you know, they get what they want.
I love how you throw yourself back in there. That's dope.
Yeah,
I love
yeah,
it.
got
I
to,
love
man. You got to, bro.
it.
That's what we're here for, man.
For sure. Hey man, listen, I really appreciate you, man. I learned a lot today, especially when it comes to the agency world. I definitely learned a lot, and I appreciate you coming on and
Yeah,
giving me the opportunity to do this interview. Any
I
shout outs you want
appreciate
to give out
you.
before we get out of here?
Man, well, let me just start with saying I appreciate you for having me on as a guest,
Oh yeah,
man. I,
no
I
doubt, man. No
love
doubt.
I love what you're about, man. You're obviously a positive brother, and you're doing your thing on a podcast, and you've
Appreciate
had
it,
some
man.
great guests, and very insightful. You know what I'm saying?
Appreciate it.
You're learning some things too. I've watched it, and so I support you from afar, man. And anything I could ever do to help facilitate or anything, please don't hesitate. I love what you're doing.
Appreciate
So
it.
thank you for having me. I'm just, I give a shout out to just people who have supported Supreme Sportz. My wife Courtney, who is on this journey with me. We just welcomed my baby girl Courtney Penelope. So we're
Congratulations
excited
again,
about
bro.
that.
Yep.
Yeah, my family, man, friends, and all that stuff. So we are looking forward to, man, servicing and like bringing it back to what we're here for. Working with some of the best athletes around the world. We got some special things in store, and so I'm excited about the future. I'm excited about getting it from the mud and watching this thing develop, man. I'm a process guy,
Dope,
so
bro.
yeah,
Dope.
yeah, I'm in love with it, man.
Yeah,
So
man. I'm really happy for you, man. Honestly, bro. I'm
yeah,
really happy for
appreciate
you.
it.
Yeah, no
I
doubt. No doubt.
appreciate it, man. And I look forward to doing some things with you in the future, man. We, obviously, you know, uh, uh, the energy and all that matches. So I look forward to working with you. Please have me on again next time we
Oh no,
on.
you coming. Don't worry about it. Yeah, you
Yeah,
coming.
yeah.
Yeah,
We
you
got some
coming. Don't
special
worry about it.
things in store, man. And then, let me know, man, if I can help in any way.
No doubt, man. Listen, man, I want to thank y'all again for tuning in. I got some more good interviews coming up in the near future for you guys. Please continue to support. I really appreciate it. If you haven't done so far, please subscribe to the channel. It does help me out. I don't ask for subscriptions too much for people to subscribe, but I will start doing it because it does help out. Once again, I want to thank you, man, for coming on. Thank you for sharing
Thank
your
you.
story. I really look forward to, as you just said, working with you in the future too.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy for you, man. I'm
Yeah,
definitely
and
really
yeah,
happy.
I appreciate it. And I also say for any aspiring, professional athletes out there, or even just athletes in general who just may want some advice, you can find me on Instagram, Supreme Sports Agency, IG, and then my personal IG, which I'm not a huge on social media, but my personal IG is Be Real. That's BREAL03. That's my IG and then Facebook and all that stuff. But you look us up on the website as well, man.
No doubt, bro.
Yeah, yeah.
Listen,
Appreciate
once
you.
again, thank y'all for tuning in. I am Alan Cole BZ Colburn. This is Baseline to Goal Line. Peace and love.
Peace.